In terms of structuring your argument, it's really, really important to plan your essay. And before you even start planning how your essay is going to be written, it's important to read, and it's important to understand what a good essay looks like. So hopefully this session provides that. But yeah, have a good grasp of the reading list as well. It's important. You also want to balance your essay. Make sure your essay balance. Doesn't necessarily mean in terms of for and against, but make sure your essay balances knowledge and deployment of that knowledge. Okay, to create a strong argument. So it should, it's what knowledge are you providing us with, and then why is this persuasive? Explaining to the examiner why that's persuasive is really important. Structuring your essay is also important. Structure can be a little bit looser in a way. Compared to your A-level structure. It doesn't have to be as completely rigid as a kind of introduction, 2 or 3 main body paragraphs and conclusion. And, with each of those main body paragraphs coming back to the original question, you can allow an argument to develop over a couple of paragraphs. However, it should still, of course, answer that question and come back to kind of key themes and key arguments in terms of how you've defined that question. Okay. I'm not going to go too much into planning because I think, you all know that planning is really important. You should discuss it. You should map it out, list it, however you kind of like to plan. Just make sure you are planning for your essay competition essay, especially, and allow your plan to take shape over a couple of weeks as well. It doesn't need to just sort of, it doesn't need to be done immediately before you start writing your essay. Okay, and allow your plan to change, of course. Again, balancing your knowledge with your argument. This is really important. I'm sure if you've performed well in A-level or IB, then you'll be aware of the need to kind of put analysis into your argument and evaluation. This is like that. Make sure you're balancing your knowledge with your analysis and your evaluation. Explain, what is the relevance of something that you've just written or something that you've just said. That's incredibly important too. Okay, structure. So an introduction is one of the most important things that you can do in an essay. A good introduction is really, really vital for writing a good essay, and a poor introduction tends to lead to a poor essay. The introduction should provide a hook to kind of grab the reader's attention and show them why this is important. Should also be direct. You don't need lots of historical context. We don't need storytelling. Sometimes context is useful, but it's mostly about going directly into the question, interrogating that question, and giving the reader a sense of how your argument, how your essay is going to develop. Okay, so make sure that question is also being answered, or we've got a sign of how it's going to be answered. Okay. Body should be well laid out arguments and paragraphs, obviously, leading the reader through your ideas in a logical order. Again, so this is Cambridge University saying you don't have to necessarily have rigid paragraphs where it's sort of, that PEEL style that you might have been taught at school. As long as you're kind of leading the reader through your paragraphs in a way that's logical, then that's okay. And that's how you can allow arguments to develop. That's how you can kind of deal with multiple ideas at once. And the conclusion, it's not something that needs a huge amount of focus, but it's important to still write a good conclusion. It's basically a summary of the main points. Don't bring in any sort of new ideas here. This isn't the time to bring in new ideas. Allow it to be a really good summary of your key points, and explaining why you've come to this conclusion, how you've reached it and why you've come to it. And that should you should leave the essence of your argument in the reader's mind effectively.